I'm sure many of us know someone, if not you, who's felt uncomfortable talking about religion and money or just have feelings of shame or guilt about it. Welcome to Yahweh's Money, a podcast where we discuss the crossroads or intersections of religion and money. We're going to go deep into topics like tithing and saving and debt and so much more from the religious view. I'm your host, Shay Cook, CEO and founder, Crusaders for Change, LLC, and our co-host is Vanessa McNelly, one of our financial counselor, coach, educators. Let's talk about God and money. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Yahweh's Money. Today we're talking about the gift of giving since it's the holiday season. Hey co-host Vanessa, how are you?
I am good, Shay. I'm excited about all these holiday topics. I'll have
I
to tell you that much.
know.
Yeah.
Making me want to spend money. No, I'm saying,
And decorate,
and
right?
decorate. I know. And in the new house, I have a dedicated closet for my Christmas supplies that
Oh
my
my
family didn't think would
goodness.
fit in there, and it did. And I'm so excited. So I don't have to go looking through everything in the garage and having to move cars out or whatever. I'm so first world. But, having to be able to decorate is really cool. So,
Oh,
and
that's so
giving
nice.
is a big
Yeah.
part of this. So,
Mm-hmm.
the gift of giving is really a spiritual gift that enables a believer to recognize God's blessings. Amen. Amen. It has been an incredibly tough year for many families. So we definitely want to honor them. It's just inflation, a higher cost of food, just about everything else is just hard for many to provide basic needs for this holiday season. And according to the USDA, more than 34 million people, including 9 million children in the US, are food insecure, which we got to do better, US. We got to do better, America.
Yes, we do.
So, oh my God. So, the one who blesses abundantly is abundantly blessed. Those who help others are helped. Let me say that again. So, those who blesses abundantly is abundantly blessed. Those who help others are helped. So, Proverbs
Mm-hmm.
11:25. So, there's always an opportunity to be a blessing to others. You can share your time, your talents, and your treasures. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Vanessa, that's crazy. I'm still kind of stuck on the
Oh,
9 million children that
it's
are
so
food insecure.
sad.
It's so sad.
And we see this every day,
Yeah.
and it's so hard to recognize too, because it's one of those things. It's one of those silent things.
Hmm.
Nobody really talks about it.
Nobody.
You
It's
don't
a
talk
shame. There's
about.
so much shame
Right,
around it. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, I have lots of people in my life who grew up in this situation.
Hmm.
We were on food stamps for a bit as a kid
Mm-hmm.
too, and you know, it's it's a blessing when you can help other people who are in this position and do it in a way that is, very humble. Because I know when you accept these things, you
Hmm.
always feel so, I don't even know how to put it. It's just, you have this feeling of not being good enough.
Yes.
Not being good enough. And I think, I talk about, my family, and I've been blessed with an amazing family who loves to give.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've been able to give a lot, because when you see people or you hear of certain instances, it does give you joy and it makes you
Mm-hmm.
happy. But you have to recognize that it's hard for the other person to accept it sometimes too.
Mm.
And that's okay. That's okay. But we all have to be open to these things. I think that's the other part of this too, is whether you're giving or receiving, you have to be open and humble, and acknowledge that it's not coming from you in the first place.
Amen. That part. Yeah, whew, I think I kind of blocked it out until you started talking about this, or we started talking about this when we were a newly married couple, my husband and I, and we had our child. We needed help, and at the time, Air Force Aid Society picked us as a family to give to us and our daughter
Mm.
gifts, and I was really excited about it and shared that, but I was kind of like embarrassed by it too, that we're
Right.
young E2 family at that time, and just had a debate. Well, she was 1 year at that time, but still, they chose
Mhm.
us, brought all these gifts over, and they do their little pictures and stuff to put, that kind of stuff. Like, what are we doing? Okay. But I didn't care at that time. It was just cool that so my daughter could have gifts for Christmas because we couldn't
Exactly.
afford that. And then at one time, we've had to ask for food from Air Force Aid Society. And I've had family members that have used all the other relief societies that are out there. So shout out to them, Air Force Aid Society, AER, and Navy Marine Relief Society, and Coast Guard Mutual Assistance, just being able to give to military families. But even on the civilian side, utilizing the food stamps and the WIC, and which I remember one time being ashamed about getting WIC, but then I kind of did a mindset ninja thing in my mind, was like, I'm paying taxes, so it's okay. But it was still kind of like a shame, like to it all. Like, I can't believe I qualified for WIC,
Yeah.
and but it was a great thing because they offered, good healthy food and formula
Mm-hmm.
and stuff before I had my child, while I was pregnant, after. So those great programs, government programs are out there. But beyond that, just being able to give to
Right.
people, it just
Right.
brings joy. New mercy and grace comes every day from God. So why
Mm-hmm.
can't we do the same?
I
You
agree
know?
completely. I agree
Yeah.
completely. And there are a lot of churches out there
Hmm.
that are very giving because they have members that understand these
Yeah.
needs. And sometimes you're on the end of receiving, and sometimes you're blessed and you're on this end of, on the end of
Exactly.
giving. And that's what you have to remember. At different times in our lives, we're able to do different things.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I was taught early on, that sometimes we have more, sometimes we have less,
Yes.
and we can be happy on either. But when we have more, we always need to give to those who have less at that time.
Exactly. And it shouldn't just be around the October to December time.
Not at
You
all.
should be always open to receiving as needed and giving as you required and you can.
Hmm.
And you can also give when speak kind words and volunteer in your community. There's a lot of food banks and pantries and homeless shelters. I
Right.
mean, I know around here in Maryland, we have a food bank that they can't get anybody to work in. So they got the food, they got the facility, but they don't have anybody to man it. And unfortunately,
Wow.
they haven't been able to open it, which is just so sad.
That's
But
awful.
it is awful because people need this stuff. And we were in New York earlier. I was in New York earlier last week, this week. Oh my God, it was this week. I don't know.
This
It's
week,
just
yeah.
time. It
Yeah.
was this week, which is crazy. And I saw lines around churches still for food pantries. And,
Hmm.
it's funny. My family and I were talking about, yeah, and you'll see that person with a Mercedes or a Lexus. You don't know what's going on. So it's because somebody has a luxury vehicle don't mean that they can afford food. Like, I
Right.
mean, you never know. I mean, there was a lot of military people that's been going to those food pantries because they're food
Right.
insecure. So
Right.
you never know who needs help.
Well, and even if you have a car like that, maybe it's one of those situations where you can't get rid of it because it would cost you more to get rid of the car than to keep the car.
Or you paid it
Or
off
it's
years
paid off.
ago, or somebody gave it to
Exactly.
you and you're just not making enough money to buy food.
Exactly.
You
There's
never know the
so
situation.
many situations. Exactly. So yeah, but being able to give is such a blessing. Like
Mm-hmm.
such a blessing. I mean, I've told you a couple of my family members, they have that built into their monthly budget because
Mm,
it brings them joy.
exactly.
And that's what we have to remember, that you can get so much joy and happiness and peace on both ends of it.
So true. So true. And I mean, even through tithing and donating to a charity or donating food and clothes and household items and toys. I mean, I think God, I really believe He requires us to give. I mean, He does. There's no
Right.
truth in me. And there's truth in all that. That is what it is. You're supposed to give, especially if you have to give. You need to give.
Exactly.
And God is able to bless you abundantly so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will be abound to every good work. And that comes from 2 Corinthians 9
Mhm.
8. We are abundantly blessed and we should be able to abundantly bless others, period.
That's very powerful.
Hmm.
And I think we forget about that a lot of times because we think, okay, there's a lot of resources out there for people, but we should be the first resource.
Yeah, really.
We should help take care of each other and be there for each other. It shouldn't be something where, okay, well, I have to have so much money in my checking account,
Mm-mm.
or I don't qualify for XYZ because
Mm-hmm.
I have too much. You don't know the situation behind it.
Yeah.
There could be something where you grew up in a situation where you had zero savings. So having
Mm.
savings is so important to you.
Yeah.
Even though if you can't eat this week, like you'd rather have that money in the bank.
Mm.
Or, you may have grown up in a situation where, you didn't get to eat. So going out to eat once a week is important to you because you didn't have food at home. Or, there's so many
So
things
many.
that
That's
we
so
don't
good, but
know.
so
Yeah.
many. Yeah. That's crazy. God's generosity exceeds our expectation. He does it with pure pleasure. He really does. We have Christ's own example to follow. And in 2021, Americans gave a near record 485 billion to charitable causes. And Bible readers are 55% more generous than others. So, what do you think about that? That's really amazing. These are some
I
great
mean,
statistics.
yeah, I feel like It doesn't surprise me that
Mm.
people who follow a higher power are more giving,
Mm.
because I think a lot of times when you have someone you believe in, whether it's, and this says Bible, but
Mm-hmm.
whether it's God or, Allah or whatever it is, you you have something better to look forward to. So this
Mm.
is just stuff.
Exactly.
It's just
Because
stuff
God's
in
always
this
going to be
life,
there. If you have faith and you really
right?
believe, there's nothing you really need to worry about. So,
Exactly. Yeah. And people who don't have that, they're
mm-hmm.
chasing something else to find
Mm.
that happiness. And that
Mm-hmm.
usually involves having really nice things, really nice cars, really nice houses, expensive clothes,
Mm-hmm.
but they're never happy with that. So I think this makes complete sense to me. And I also feel like, back in 2021, we were still going through the midst of the bad part of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people understood that, you know, those things don't matter as much too, because we were all stuck at home.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
think all these things make complete sense. But yeah, if you find that people are believers, I feel like, yeah, if they're true believers, number one, they're
Exactly.
they're gonna be able to recognize those hardships and give with an open heart.
So true. I'm excited and interested, I guess I should say, to see what these numbers look like in 2022 and
Yeah,
2023, especially 2023, because when everybody's now out in the streets again and not, they're
exactly.
probably not giving as much to charitable causes or
Mm-hmm.
charities. They're probably giving it to themselves with trying to
True.
make up for lost
Right.
time. So with record numbers of traveling and just all kinds of expenses that people weren't, spending stuff on before and they were trying
Mm-hmm.
to make up for it, I'm sure that number might be lower. But it says in Luke 12:33 through 34, sell your possessions and give to the poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will never fail, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. I always loved that when I used to hear that in church, and even now. Like, where your treasure is where your heart is also. So if you
Yeah,
treasure, I mean, things and outside of people,
exactly.
it's going to be with that. It's not going to be with people. It's not, if you treasure
Right.
whatever that is, that's
Right.
where your priority and where your sight is,
Mm-hmm.
where your faith
Mm-hmm.
is. That's where it is. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I want my faith and my treasure to be in God and in people
Exactly.
and love and
Exactly.
and a mission that's pure. That's where I want it at this
Mm-hmm.
age. I don't want it to be in whatever, in my things that are going to waste away.
In your Prada bag, right?
I never had one of those, but yeah, in one of
Me either.
those.
But no, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with having nice
It's
things and
not. It's
working
not.
hard. And we're not saying any of that. It's just that when you are blessed, bless others.
Exactly.
And, that's where it should truly lie. So if something happens to your nice car or to your nice hoodie or your nice sweatshirt or whatever you might have that's it's super expensive, um, it's okay. It's okay. You can get those things again or different versions of them. But when you follow something that can't be taken away from you,
Mm,
that's when true happiness exists.
so true. Because then you say, it's okay to have nice things, and there's these celebrities out here, and all we see from social media and stuff is all of the cars, the nice bags, the clothes, the glam, as they call it, or whatever. But
Right.
a lot of those people are doing great things. And I just wish we saw more of that, you know?
Agree.
Because yeah, they have all these beautiful, expensive $20,000, $30,000 purses and $100,000 cars and all that, but they're also giving a lot of their money to
Mm-hmm.
charities and doing great things. And
Exactly.
I just would love to see that more, and that might be able to balance stuff, because a lot of people are chasing the wrong thing. So,
Exactly.
because of their
Exactly.
role models who are these celebrities.
Right. Yeah.
So, and in Corinthians 9:6-8, it says, each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. We did a whole episode on that, I believe, with your aunt
We
on
did.
cheerful
Yeah.
giving. Yeah. And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having that all that you need, you will be abound in every good work. Did I already read that? That feels like similar, but All of these are going together. Cheerful
They are.
giver,
Yeah.
not selling your possessions, well, selling your possessions and giving to the poor. It's all linking together. So, and even in Luke 12:48, it's all comes together. Everyone
Right.
to whom much was given, or him who much will be required, and from him to whom they entrusted much, they demand the more. So,
Yeah.
I always hear that too much is given, as much is required. And it really is. The
Exactly.
more you have,
Exactly.
the more you expected from the world, but you should be expecting yourself to give to
Right.
others.
Well, and if you look at this and you think, okay, this is a theme in the Bible, it must
Yeah,
be important,
it
right?
must be important. Because it's all
Because
like running together in me. I'm like, wait a minute, I just
exactly.
read that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. This is very different. It's very different books in the Bible. And I'm sure in other
Yeah.
religious texts, it's very different.
Exactly, but it
Yeah.
all comes back to that, and it all, we just have to keep reiterating this throughout the different books. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, but it's one of those things that I don't think we can hear this enough, that
Amen.
it's because we could always give more.
You
Any
can
of us can
always
always
get
give
more.
more,
Yeah.
whether it's giving somebody a hug. I mean, you and I were talking
Mm.
about this earlier, the gift of like, physical touch that is wanted, number one.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but, there are so many people who are at home all the time still, and they
Yeah.
live alone, and they may not have anybody come to their house but once or twice a month,
Mm-hmm.
and they may not even get a handshake or a hug or a pat on
Yeah,
the back, and that means so much to
it
some
does.
people. So we
And I
can't,
love touching people in a very
yeah,
respectful way.
right.
But I like when you feel somebody coming down into
Yeah,
themselves, I like to touch their back, or like when I'm laughing, I'll touch their knee, like their arm. I never touch inappropriately. Let me put that out there. I don't know. And I like when people do that too. Like, okay,
yeah,
baby, it's okay, rubbing your back. Because that's how my mom did. They were very
yeah.
touchy, loving, respectful people when it came to
Mm-hmm.
human touch. Human touch is very important that we miss out on.
Really is.
Unfortunately, a lot of lines have been crossed in a lot of places, and unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
it's just sad, and
Mm-hmm.
disgusting. But God, these hands, man, you
Mm-hmm.
can do a lot.
True.
Even if
I
it's
mean,
like thank you, love you, hug
mm-hmm.
you, what I mean, pat on your back, just hold your hand through a rough situation.
Right.
You could do a lot with you can give with your hands and
Mm-hmm.
your touch in a very respectful and loving way, but also through your words.
Right.
I don't know. And I do. We talked
All
about
that's
this earlier this week.
free. It's
I
all
miss
free.
that. It's all
Yeah,
free. We're just talking about
it's
the
all
saving.
free.
They're free to say, let's go for a walk and talk. We don't need to pay anything.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I mean, your time is just so priceless to other
Oh my
people,
God. Yeah.
and we don't realize that when we're younger, just like we keep,
Mm-hmm.
discussing. We think, oh, well, I'll go tomorrow, I'll go next week,
Yeah.
I'll go, but sometimes those days don't come, and we don't
They don't
know when,
come. I know. I just
and we're
got on my daughter.
so
She doesn't
busy.
understand. I was so mad at her this week because it was her grandmother's birthday. And she didn't call her until 2 or 3 days later. And I was like, first of all, you don't know if
Oh,
those days are prompts.
yeah, yeah,
But like I don't know. It's
yeah.
a long story for another conversation, but I just was very disturbed by that. And I think a lot of it had to do with something internal with me and my grandmother not having a relationship, and she has a relationship with her grandmother, and my dad getting mad at me for not, having this, calling her like, because I don't have my grandmother's still alive. Thank God she's 91, but we don't have that kind of relationship. My mother-in-law
Right.
and my daughter do, and that's amazing. So does she has a
Yeah.
relationship with even my mother that I didn't have with
Right.
my grandmothers.
Yeah.
And to me it's like, dude, like, and they're young and they're like, I'll call her. You
Right.
don't know if that day is going to be here tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
what the heck are you doing? So
Well,
I don't know.
and
Time is, like you said, it's so valued, and
it's
it's part
so
of giving.
valuable.
Give your
Yeah.
time, people. Put that
Right.
dang on phone down and call your grandparents.
I agree completely. Agree
Yeah.
completely. Yeah. I mean, it's so simple. I mean, and those things matter on the day. They don't matter
Yeah.
after the day, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, my father has forgotten my birthday the last 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And it does something to
It
you when the person
does.
who's closest to you
Mm.
forgets something or doesn't
Mm.
say something. And it's like, because I've told him before, I'm like, it's not like I want a gift. I don't want, you to
Mm-hmm.
send me something expensive. I don't want a card, just a call.
Yeah.
A 2-minute
So
phone call
simple.
can change someone's world.
Put the dang on anniversary or birthday in your phone, people.
Yep,
So I was like,
exactly.
I don't want to
Agree.
hear you forget. There is no reason. Even though I did forget a friend's birthday and I just texted her and say, I'm sorry, but hey,
Mm,
sometimes it happens. But, no.
yeah,
When I
yeah.
know that you've been reminded and you still don't, I have a problem with that.
Hmm.
So, what
Hmm.
are some of your favorite traditions of giving during the holiday season?
Oh gosh, there's so many. So we have a
Hmm.
new tradition in my family. So my aunt Monica is a pastor, as
Mm-hmm.
Shay knows, and she has a lot of widows at her church.
Mm.
So last year we threw a Christmas party for all these people that didn't have a place to go. And that was kind of our gift to each other, was to have this party. And we played all these games and
Nice.
everybody went home with a prize. And it was just stuff we had like at home that we didn't really care about. And
Yeah.
we just had, like breakfast food. And we had such an amazing day with our new
Mm.
family. These people became part of our family. And we're
Nice.
going to do it again this year,
Oh,
because
cool.
it made a difference in someone's year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, gosh, I have never laughed so hard in my life when I see two older ladies both wanting to give my grandfather a kiss when they had to kiss somebody
Oh.
in the group. So it's like it brings joy, fulfillment, all these things to
Mm,
me, but it also blesses somebody else's life. So that's one
exactly.
thing that we do. And then, the angel tree thing that me and
Mm-hmm.
my niece still do. My mom and I used to do that. Instead of buying presents, we would go and we would shop together for, these older people in nursing homes that didn't have anybody. And it was so much cheaper than buying a gift for each other.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but it was so fun because we got that time together.
Nice.
And that's what mattered to us, was that
It is.
time.
Yeah.
So those are kind of our big things. That, and then Christmas Eve, we do, movies and popcorn. We
Oh,
were a
nice.
movie family. So that's something we do. We don't do extravagant anythings anymore, which
Mm-hmm.
I love.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you guys?
Yeah, I came from a family on my dad's side of family. I don't unfortunately know much about my mom's traditions. We weren't really around her family much, but we always did Christmas and Thanksgiving and Christmas. Somebody, one of the aunts, my dad comes from a family of six siblings, so unfortunately two of them have passed now. But
Mm.
we would always go hop to different people's houses. My aunt will host this Thanksgiving, my mom and dad, whoever, and just bring as many people we can over, cook and eat, have a good
Yeah.
time, listen to music, dance, whatever it may look like. They still to this day get really dressed up. My generation and younger generations are like, nah, man, we ain't trying to put on a full
Exactly.
suit and dresses and full faces. Like, no. And then
Hmm.
sometimes we've done like, PJs, wearing your PJs. My
Right.
husband's like that. No, we're going to wear jeans or, we ain't doing all of that.
I'll wear
But
my
just,
hoodies, what I'm going to wear.
yeah, exactly. So a lot of cooking. It's always centered around food and good time.
Hmm.
And just, I love as I've gotten older. Especially being a counselor, I don't know. I just love to ask really deep questions about the past and
Yeah.
how they grew up, because they don't seem to share a lot of that. And I think because
Hmm.
there's just been a lot of trauma and stuff, so just
Right.
learning more about the older family
Yeah.
members and just to get to know them more. But I hope
Oh.
now it needs to transfer over to my generation and my sister's
Hmm.
generation, who's I'm a zer. I mean, I'm not a zer. Oh my god, that's offensive to myself. I'm an xer. I am not a Generation Z. I'm not that young. I am Generation X, and she's millennials, and then my daughter is the
Hmm.
Zers. But
Hmm.
the younger
Yeah.
generations are now having to take up those responsibilities, and they're not fulfilling it very well.
No.
They don't have the house. They always want to blame it on don't have the house, but I'm like, we did this in apartments and townhomes and stuff. You don't need no big old house to do this. Like they
Exactly.
always have an excuse. So
Yeah.
now that we bought this house, we're gonna have to. I told my husband it's gonna be
Yeah.
time for us to take on this tradition from the
Hmm.
older family members.
Hmm.
And I'm excited to do that. It's a lot of work hosting, but
Hmm.
it always turns out well.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you said that, that brought back a memory. So, one thing that we do too is so my grandfather, he grew up during the Depression.
Hmm.
And back then, you didn't get Christmas gifts.
Yep.
Like, so he would get an orange for Christmas
Oh
in a good
wow.
year. So I always make sure that I give everybody oranges, like in the family.
Really?
And he talks about it, and it brings back that memory to him,
Oh
because to
wow.
me it's showing what we've come from
Yeah.
and to what we have, and how back then a simple orange was more than enough, and it was
Yeah.
such an amazing gift. But now, we would scoff at that, we would laugh at that, getting an
Yeah.
orange.
But that's
Yeah,
wow.
but getting an orange was like, oh my goodness, my family could afford,
Yeah.
5 oranges for the kids for Christmas. But yeah, and it really puts things into
It
perspective
really
too.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
was
so
asked
all
my
those
grandmother.
oranges.
She was born in Depression too, and she's
Yep.
91. So,
Yep.
yeah, I wonder what it looked like back then.
Exactly. That'd
Yeah.
be a great question to ask because that's something
Yeah.
my grandfather and I have talked about. And yeah, it would just be, they'd have their normal dinner if they could have dinner then. Um, but
Wow.
yeah, but it would be an orange. They would get an orange.
That's
So,
crazy.
but that really puts things into perspective when
It
you
really
are
does, because some of these kids these days, can you
stressing.
see them popping off if they got orange and somebody
Exactly.
recording a video and their kids having a tantrum because all they got was orange?
It would be all over like Instagram and TikTok. Um,
Oh my
yeah,
God, such
yeah.
spoiled kids. Oh my God.
Exactly. When, you think back that people who are still alive today were happy
Yeah,
and
exactly.
excited about an orange.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, not all gifts are monetary. Here are just some creative ways you can bless others this holiday season. So we kind of already talked about a lot of these. Invite family over for a cozy dinner or a movie night. I love that. Clean a friend or family's home. Have friends' children over for a play date to help your friend have a break, and that's always nice. Babysit,
Mhm.
pet set for your friends so they can have a date night. Shovel snow for a neighbor or cut grass. Love that. And text someone with special words of encouragement, pray for them, and share your
Yeah.
testimony. All of that you can do for free. It just costs your time, which I know is valuable. We've talked about it a lot, but it's definitely worth it. So, any final thoughts?
I say just, take time, pay attention to those around
Mm,
you. You're going to see who needs a little more encouragement than who doesn't. And spend a little time on those people. Like you said, it's something that we can do for little to no money. And it's going to
mm-hmm.
be meaningful and it's going to fulfill you and that person more than you know.
Yep. And remember, too much is given, as much is required, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, people? So thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to follow us wherever podcasts are found. And remember, it's always better Yahweh's way. Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the crossroads of religion and money. Also, we would love to hear your feedback on today's episode. So please leave us a review or just tell us what's on your mind. And remember to follow our podcast. If you have any questions or suggestions of topics for us to discuss, please email us at yahweh@crusaders4change.org. To hear all of Yahweh's Money latest episodes, please visit us at www.crusaders4change.org or wherever podcasts are found. God bless.